Hey there. Today, I'm really excited to dive in a little bit deeper into the difference between masculine versus feminine planning systems. Now, there aren't many, traditional planning systems out there that label themselves as masculine or feminine. And that's exactly why when I created the TOP program, TOP stands for Time Management, Organization, and Productivity, I very clearly labeled this as a time management system for women. And the reason I did this is because the vast majority of time management and planning systems out there were written by men. And while they may have some great principles, foundations, and tools, oftentimes they fall short for women. Meaning, when we try and actually implement what we're being taught, we keep running into one brick wall or another. So, what do? We instantly think something's wrong with us, right? Instead of recognizing, oh, maybe it's just because I'm using a system that doesn't actually work for me. Now, if you are new here to the channel, welcome. My name is Megan Summerall. I am a time management and planning expert for women. And again, I emphasize for women because our needs are just different than men when it comes to how we plan and manage our time. Now, here's a startling kind of statistic for you that really highlights this fundamental need for feminine planning systems. If you were to go into your local bookstore or even pop onto Amazon and search time management or planning or productivity books, there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of them because this is something that we struggle with as a society. We are overwhelmed, we are overscheduled, we have information overload. But here is the part that's a tough pill to swallow. If you look at all of these books, the latest statistic says that 93% of them are written by men. So there's very, very few choices of any book about productivity, time management, or planning written by women. Now, I get a lot of requests to say, Megan, you need to fix this problem. That's a topic for another day. But today, let's go ahead and really dive into three of these fundamental differences on why these masculine planning systems tend to not work for women and what the difference is there. So, first is how a lot of these systems approach how we do our kind of goal setting and how we schedule our time. Masculine planning systems give a lot of tools, tips, and techniques that fundamentally assume you're going to have a fairly predictable schedule. This is what allows them to teach very rigid time blocking techniques. I was taught this in my 20s as well, along with an approach to goal setting where the angle you take is you kind of map out this goal, you've got the dates, and then your job is to execute on those dates. A good example with that is it's a great book called The 12-Week Year, but a lot of women have a hard time implementing what he teaches in that, myself included, because it assumes predictability. Now, for most women, we are dealing with a lot of unpredictability, right? If you're watching this, let me know. Do you have unpredictability with your time and schedule coming at you often? Probably every single day. A perfect example in my life yesterday was a Monday, and my daughter got injured at school. She's fine, but whose phone rang? Mine did, right? So this is what I mean. If we are trying to use a planning system that fundamentally assumes 99% of the time you've got a pretty predictable schedule, but you do not, well, then they're not going to work, right? And this is why my approach to how I teach planning is assuming a lot of unpredictability. Another technique that masculine planning systems will teach that, again, highlights this assumption of a predictable schedule is they encourage you to create the perfect week or the perfect day that then you just rinse and repeat day after day, week after week. I can't do that. The realities of my life do not support me creating the perfect week and then, plugging and playing that in week after week because women are dealing with more uncertainty. All right. So that's the first one. Now, the second one is really around your work versus life segmentation. Now, all the books that are out there written by men are typically assuming that you're either an entrepreneur, you're running your own, business, or you are an employee. And all of the time management and productivity tips that they give have an underlying assumption again of a clear division between work and non-work time. Think of it like a very traditional corporate job. You step into your job at 8 or 9 in the morning, and then you get in your car and you leave it and you come home. Now, it's interesting because I see how this plays out in my own home. I work from home. I've been working home for years. Even when I was in corporate, I was working from home. My husband also works from home. But there's a fundamental difference of when his workday starts, nothing from the outside world comes in until the workday is over. For me, they're very intertwined, my work time and my lifetime. And if I don't know how to create plans and systems and, actual know how to program my calendar to protect that, one will just blur into the other and then you end up trying to multitask all day long, right? So that's kind of this second one that really highlights this difference is that assumption of a clear division between work and life, and masculine planning systems just assume that that is in place. That's not the reality for most women. So we need a planning system that acknowledges that, but then gives us the tools that we need to develop pockets of time where we can have some focus and some predictability. But again, we always need to maintain some level of flexibility. Now, the third is one that it's not so much that it's taught differently with masculine planning systems versus feminine. The third one is just completely missing from masculine planning systems, and that is our biology. Women and men, we all know this, are absolutely different. And masculine planning systems assume that you can learn how to get to a steady state of consistent output or productivity. Meaning, once you learn how to create the perfect day or the perfect week, whatever that is, with your clear division of work and life, that the ultimate goal is to just get to this steady state where you're just consistently producing, right? And, we try not to hustle or work too hard. So what's missing is the fact that women have menstrual cycles, and those are actual biology. It means that we are going to have energy levels that fluctuate. We're going to have cognitive abilities that fluctuate, and our core abilities to even just focus fluctuate. And this is out of our control. It's not that we're not working hard enough or not planning the right way or not getting enough rest or not drinking enough water or not taking enough bubble baths or meditating or doing yoga or whatever. It's the fact that that's our fundamental biological difference. And so trying to implement a planning system that is ultimately trying to get you to a steady state is really unachievable for women because our biology prevents us from doing that. Now, does it mean that we can't do amazing things and be productive and have success and all of that? Of course not. But it means that we need to have a planning system that, again, accommodates some flexibility, that accommodates some unpredictability, that accommodates, allows for, and aligns with this kind of ebb and flow that we go through with our cycles as well. So if you have been trying to implement a very traditional or masculine planning system, maybe you're reading one of an award-winning book by a male about time management and productivity, and you find, yes, some of it's great, but it always falls short just a little bit, or you feel like you keep running against a brick wall trying to implement it. It's not you, friend. It's that you're trying to implement a planning system that does not accommodate the realities of your life. And this is fundamentally what sits at the core of why I developed the TOP program. Again, TOP stands for Time Management, Organization, and Productivity, and it is designed for women. It is the number one time management system for women out there because it's acknowledging all of these things, including the mental load, right? Women carry that. We always tend to have all of that stuff going on in our brain. So I just want to encourage you, if you feel frustrated that maybe, you've just bought your 17th planner hoping that this is the one that's going to solve the problems. It's not about the planner, right? It's not about the book. It's about the underlying core principles behind the systems that you are learning to implement and making sure that they acknowledge and accommodate your specific realities. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about this top program, I would encourage you to head over to thetopprogram.com. You can read up about everything that's included in that. And please know this is a program that clearly understands the differences between masculine and feminine planning systems and is not going to sit there trying to force a square peg into a round hole. So happy planning, and I hope to see you inside of the top program.